ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louis T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Chiefs, Raiders, AFC West Family Business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, that's family business. And boy, did this get ugly in the second half. It really started at the end of the first half, bled into the second half. Raiders tried to make it competitive, but that Deshaun Jackson fumble was a backbreaker. You're down 24-14. The Chiefs are starting to rev it up. You know you got to keep pace. You can't afford to give it right back to them. Worst case scenario, you come out of that possession with a field goal. At least it's back to one score. You're thinking maybe we get down into the red zone on this big play. It should have been picked off, honestly. And really the football gods kind of stepped back in like, okay, all right. And that's not the football gods' jobs to, fix something that the players on the field can fix themselves. It's when something happens that the players don't have control over, and that's when the football gods step in. Tyrann Mathieu should have picked that pass off, but he didn't. It went through his hands and into the hands of Deshaun Jackson, and he started thinking about a touchdown. Instead of him thinking about getting the most I can get, guy's going to come from behind and potentially get me, he thinks he's Deshaun Jackson from 10 years ago. Oh, I'm going to just turn around, sprint the other direction, run away from this guy. He can't run as fast as me. I'm going to accelerate in 0 to 60 like that, okay, in 2 steps, and I'm going to smoke this dude for a touchdown. Nobody. Doesn't work like that. Hell, there's a couple of times this year where he's caught a deep ball, and you know how Deshaun likes to do bullshit when he catches the ball, wants to run across the field diagonally. Like, he used to be able to just jog and sprint away from people. Now he's doing that bullshit and almost getting caught. He almost got caught earlier this year doing that stupid ass shit he likes to do. So he thought he was going to turn and run away from Fenton. And Fenton said, no, you don't. And then he poked it free because Deshaun's got the shit out here all loosey-goosey. And it's a hell of a play by Fenton. It's really a headsy play because the last thing Deshaun was thinking is that the ball was going to get poked free. He's thinking the guy he's probably scared shitless. He thinks he's just, going to try to tackle me because he just wants to catch me. No, he's got you. Now he's looking to poke it free. And that was when the game essentially turned. From that point forward, the Chiefs took, full control over the football game. The Raiders went into their shell. This Raiders team's a joke. And I don't know why I fell for the banana in the tailpipe. It's the same Raiders every year. Every year they get right around this point of the season, win 5 or 6 games. We start thinking, hey, maybe this year is different with the Raiders. And they do shit like this. No, it's the same damn Raiders. You go to New York, you lose to the Giants, and I get it. It was an emotional week. And I get it. That you had to fly across the country and there was so much going on. All right, I get it, but I don't get it. Still find a way to win the damn game, but they're human beings. So I understand. Last week was heavy, okay? But this week, you wipe the slate clean, you come home, you understand that this is a big one. Got to have it. It's the Chiefs. They're not the Chiefs, but it's the Chiefs. And we got to find a way to win because if we want to win this division, we still got to go through Kansas City. Nothing has changed. I said this a month ago when the Chiefs were struggling and they got their asses whooped by Tennessee. And everybody was ready to write them off. And they had lost 2 out of their last 3 games, and they were struggling. And 2 out of those 3 games were ass whooping against the Bills and the Titans. And I said, I still think this division, as crazy as it sounded then, I said, I still think this division goes through Kansas City. I just don't see anybody ready to seize control of that division. We know Denver isn't that team, okay? The Chargers aren't ready yet, and they can't stop the run. And any team that can't stop the run can't win anything meaningful in this league. So I said, it's not the Chargers yet. They're not ready yet. It's got to be the Raiders. But clearly, the Raiders are still the Raiders. They can't get out of their own way. This Raiders defense tonight looked like the Raiders defense from last year. That's the scary part. It's one thing to get your ass beat by Kansas City. It's one thing to struggle, lose a game. It's another thing when you start having flashbacks to last season when you were one of the worst NFL defenses in history. I mean, your defense was a joke last season, your defense was a joke, and the Chiefs were laughing their asses off tonight en route to a 40 burger. Oh, Mahomes like, man, I remember when we used to eat these all the time. You don't really realize just how much you miss one of these 40 burgers till you haven't had one in a really long time. Man, I miss these. Mahomes and company enjoyed themselves a 40 burger at the expense of the Raiders, and that defense was atrocious tonight. And you know what? Let's transition away from the Raiders, because I don't believe in the Raiders. I don't buy the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are going to be a player in this thing when it's all said and done. And so let's transition to the team that I do think is legit and I think is going to figure things out. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, it's one game, and the Chiefs have won 3 in a row, so that is a good thing. However, it's one game, and I told you that I thought the Chiefs' defense was getting better. It looks it. And they're adding pieces, and guys are getting healthy. It looks better, right? Here's the thing. The offense is what carries and drives this team. The defense is the X factor. Anything that can get out of the defense is great. The offense has to be what it's supposed to be, or they don't stand a chance. The thing I saw tonight that if you're a Chiefs fan, you should be encouraged by is that Mahomes finally did the thing that defenses want him to do, and he has to be willing to do it in order to open up the rest of the football field for the offense. It's not hard. It's what Brady has done his entire career. It's what Aaron Rodgers will do if you make him do it. It's what the greats do when they have to do it, and that's take the check down. It's hard when you like to get big plays, when all you've done in your career to this point is hit big plays. It's hard to stay disciplined and just take what the defense is giving you. They're begging you to check it down to Darrell Williams 12 times. Then just do it. Just do it. And guess what? Eventually, they got to bring their monkey asses up. And when they do, that's when you hit 10 over the top. Eventually, they're going to give you something soft underneath. That's when you hit 87 and you let him do work underneath. And eventually, they got to bring their monkey asses up, and that's when you find 17 over the top. And finally, it's like it took a while to get through Mahomes' skull. Like it was a little thick. And I'm like, Pat, bro, I know what it's been like the last 3 years, okay? You've had this shit on tilt. I get it. But they're not letting you do that anymore, bro. You got to take what they're giving you eventually. Trust me. It's a tried and true and proven method, okay? It's tried, it's true, it works. The greats have done it for years. Take what they're giving you. If your running back has to have 11 catches for 97 yards, so be it. What did he do tonight? He checked it down to Darrell Williams over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And finally, the Raiders said, enough of this shit. We had enough of this. And so when they get nosy and they start coming up, Tyreek Hill over the top. It's going to happen. Because just like they're daring you to stay patient, at some point, you're going to start testing their patience when you keep taking 5 and 8 and 6 and 7 and 7 and 4 and 11 and 9. When you keep taking those chunk in those little increments, it adds up and eventually they get nosy. And that's when you get the chunk plays over the top. That's when you get the chunk intermediate plays for 22 and 17 and 29. That's when shit starts to open up because eventually they get sick and tired of giving it up underneath. But you got to be willing to take what they're giving you. You finally did it tonight, and look what the end result was. You scored 41 points, you threw for over 400 yards, and you made it look easy, and you didn't turn it over. 5 touchdown passes. Had yourself a clinic tonight, a field day, just like the old days, just like when you used to eat 40 burgers all the time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just do what you're supposed to do. It's hard, I know. When you've been getting these chunk plays, like we take in air, like we drink water, that's how you were getting chunk plays over the last 3 years. They said we're playing 2 deep safeties. Good luck with that now. Okay, they're willing to give up the underneath. Take it. Take it. This was a clinic. This is what Brady does. This is what Rodgers does. This is what the best of the best do. When you refuse to give it up over the top, that's fine. I'll check it down to my running back 15 times if I have to. I have no problems doing that. Because eventually you're going to get nosy. You're going to get tired of getting beat down underneath. You're going to come up, and that's when I'm going to hit you. Masterful job by the Chiefs on offense. And then defensively, I'm telling you, they're getting healthy. Jaron Reed was an impactful player tonight. We saw that they got back Chris Jones a couple of weeks ago. We know what he is. I think the addition of Melvin Ingram, is going to prove to be huge for them. And if they can get anything out of Frank Clark, I'm not the biggest Frank Clark fan in the world, but if they can get anything out of Frank Clark, and you get Melvin Ingram on the other side, and then you got these young guys. I told you, Nick Bolton, he's a player, man. I really like him at the linebacker position. Fenton at cornerback, I really like him. He's starting to really grow on me. That's another dude that I like in that secondary. And we know what Tyrann Mathieu is. We know what some of these other guys have been for them. And if they can just get healthy, keep everybody healthy. Juan Thornhill is another guy. When he's healthy and he's back there, he makes a difference. They're starting to really put it together. It's still a work in progress. But, between Gay and Bolton at the linebacker position with a little sprinkle of Anthony Hitchens, that defense in the middle is starting to come together. And so if they ever get this defense to just be solid consistently and the offense to do what they did tonight, which is and they're going to get healthier. They're going to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back. He's even better at catching it underneath and making something happen than Darrell Williams is. So if they get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, which they are supposed to here shortly, maybe as early as next week against Dallas, and you start getting him and Darrell Williams, and I still think Jerick McKinnon can be a bigger part of this offense, kind of all starting to play on one accord. You start to get Josh Gordon is a non-factor right now. If they ever find a way or figure out a way to really acclimate him and he gets somewhat integrated into this offense, that'll make them even more scary and dangerous. So their weapons are fine. Early in the season, there was a problem because I said they need to replace Samuel Watkins. Mecole Hardman has to step up and be that number 2 guy opposite of Hill. He really hasn't been that guy. But you know who that guy's going to have to turn out to be now? The running back has to turn into that guy because of how defenses are playing them. It's still Tyreek Hill's show. It's still Travis Kelce's show, and those two are co-stars. That next guy used to be Samuel Watkins. It needed to be Mecole Hardman. It's not Hardman right now. You know what? They're going to be fine if defenses keep playing them this way. That next guy has to be the running back. And Mahomes has to see that. He has to take it, and he has to deliver and do it over and over and over and over again. It gets old. It gets tired. It gets stale, but it's going to help this offense in the long run. He did it tonight, and if he can do it again next week and the week after that, eventually teams will come out of that deep, two deep shell, excuse me. They'll come out of it. And they'll bring a safety down to be nosy, and that's when the fun starts. That's when the fun starts. So I like what I saw tonight from the Chiefs offense. This is what they have to do. And if Mahomes can be patient and just take what the defense is giving him and do this more consistently, they're going to get back to being the Chiefs that we've come to know and love. It's 1 week, and the Raiders look pretty damn bad tonight, so I'm not going to jump to conclusions and say they're back. But this was a hell of a start. We'll see what happens next week against Dallas because Dallas's defense is much better than that of the Raiders. Dallas's defense can be had as well, though. We've seen that. So if Mahomes is patient, he takes what the defense is giving him. I double dog dare Dallas to say, hey, we got Trayvon Diggs. He's got 8 picks. He can cover Tyreek Hill. If they give him that matchup one-on-one, they'll eat it alive. I surmise Dallas is going to play a 2 deep shell like everybody else and dare Mahomes to beat them underneath. And they'll get nosy eventually. And they'll give Trayvon Diggs and Tyreek Hill one-on-one matchups. And Mahomes has to be ready to take advantage when they get it. But this is what they have to do. This was impressive. 41-14, ass thrashing. Shame on the Raiders. Really disappointed in them. And if you ask me, in this division, they're the 3rd best team. I think the Chargers are better than this Raiders team. I think the Chiefs are better than them as well. So let's get to the comment section. Chiefs now sole possession of first place in the AFC West. Again, everyone was leaving them for dead when they were 2 and one fact, they were 1-3 at one point. Then they were 2-4, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when they were left for dead. And now they're 6-4. They've won 4 straight. So if I'm not mistaken, they've won 4 straight. Let's see. They beat Washington. Then they lost to they won 3 in a row. So they were 3-4 at one point because they were 2-3, I think, when they beat Washington, got them to 3-3. Then they got smoked by the Titans to make them 3-4. And that's when everybody was kind of leaving them for dead because everybody in the division looked good. The Chargers were at 4 or 5 wins. The Raiders were at 4 or 5 wins. And so it looked like, oh my God, the division's running away from them. And here we are a month later, they've won 3 straight and they just smoked the Raiders in Vegas. And now they're atop the division by their lonesome. So I said, don't count the Chiefs out. I didn't think it would look like this a month later, though. But this is what happens when you stick to the script. Mahomes stuck to the script, and good things happen. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Let's see if we got any super chats first and foremost. And then we'll get to some regular comments. Got a super chat here from Storm. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Storm. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, was in Vegas for my first Raiders game in person, and I have to say I kind of saw this coming, LOL. New coaching staff and front office after this season anyway. There was a point in time where I said, hey, don't sleep on Rich Bisaccia keeping his job. Don't sleep on. And I told you the one thing I didn't know was, that Mike Mayock was Jon Gruden's guy. He hired Mike Mayock. Now that Gruden's gone, does Mark Davis turn this thing over to Mike Mayock and let him pick the next head coach? Or does he say, you were only here because John was here. John's now gone. So now you're in effect gone as well. We're going to hire a brand new GM, let him come in here, pick the new head coach, and then we're going to go from there. I'm wondering how it's going to go. Is he now fully in charge, or is he just in charge because there's nobody else to be in charge other than him? And after the season, they're going to reevaluate everything and say, you know what? You were John's guy. John's no longer here, so you need to go. Because I felt like they were just going to keep Mike Mayock because Mark Davis isn't really a football dude. He's not really a football guy. So I'm thinking he's just going to let, Mike Mayock handle everything and hire a new coach. I don't know if he's going to do that or not. So I'm still fascinated by that whole dynamic because if Mike Mayock is allowed to be retained and is allowed to pick the next head coach, he may just keep Rich Bisaccia. He may not, obviously. You know what I mean? We'll see. But you could have a brand new front office and coaching staff, or you could not. It's hard to say how it's going to shake out. I'm still fascinated by that. Thank you for the super chat. Storm. Twin D. Thank you for the super chat, Twin D. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Twin D says, the champ is here. The champ is here. He did it again. Hey, look, man. When you're hot, you're hot. You know what you're doing right now? You ever seen an NBA game? Steph Curry gets hot. You know, one of these shooters gets really hot. And usually for Steph Curry, it doesn't apply because his hot is different than everybody else's hot. You know, same with Dame Lillard. When those dudes get in the zone, like their hot is different. But, you know, a regular shooter gets hot, right? And he's hit his last 3 threes. And, you know, let's throw out a random name. Let's say Julius Randle for the Knicks gets hot behind the arc and is knocked down 3 straight threes. He comes down the court the next time and he just jacks one up. You know what we call that? Wasn't a good shot. Wasn't in the rhythm and flow of the offensive set. He just came down and said, look, man, I'm hot. It's a heat check. Right now, you're just putting up heat checks. And them shits are going in, man. At this point, I don't even know if I can call them heat checks anymore. Because you keep getting them right. But I'm like, come on, man. You're getting away with some shit. You're getting away with some shit. But I got to give you credit, man. It's ridiculous. You are doing what I used to do. And this is not my year. You're doing what I used to do, which is win, 4, 5, 6, weekly pick'em pools in the year. You've already won like 3 or 4 this year. Easy. So you're well on your way to 5 or 6 if you haven't already won 5 already. I think you've won 3 or 4. So you're killing it right now. And again, I remember I used to laugh at your picks. I swear. I used to say, man, Twin D tripping. And I said, well, that's cool. Take his money. I have no problem taking his money. Now it's the other way around. I mean, you're probably laughing at my picks now. I don't mind taking Louis T's money, man. It's a nice, generous donation right here. He offering up. But you're killing it, man. That's all I can say. What more can I say? You're killing it, bro. Another win in the bank for my guy, Twin D. Let's get to the comment section. And Gregory Lightbody says, Washington's defense hasn't been playing like the last ranked defense the past few weeks. No, they have not. But, you can't erase what your defense has been overnight. Now that there's enough of a body of work. If you're the worst rated defense after 2 weeks, it's a small sample size. So you are able to change that. You can go from 32nd to 19th in one game. Small sample size. When there's 8 weeks of a body of work and that sample size is that huge, so we're talking about half the season essentially, you're not going to erase that with a couple of performances. It's going to take time for you to undo that. And you need help from other defenses that are right there with you, like the Jets, for instance. You need teams like that to continue to struggle and continue to give it up so that when you start playing better, their numbers keep going in the wrong direction, yours going in the right direction, and then that's how you start leapfrogging teams. But nobody cares about statistics at this point. It's how are you playing right now? You could have had the worst rated defense, but now you're playing like one of the better defenses in the league. That's all that matters. Is what are you doing right now? And that's what we're doing right now. Gregory Lightbody says, I'm going to miss Chase Young. Need to sign some pass rushers. Shaka and JSW aren't good enough. They're not going to sign anybody. Ron, I don't know if you listened to the press conference. I haven't gotten through all of them yet, but I listened to Ron already, and he already said that, these young guys got to play. And that's what I told you earlier on the show on Overtime. Like, these young boys got to play. This is why Ron went young. This is why he moved on from Ryan Kerrigan for this exact reason. That these young boys he didn't expect Young and Sweat to get hurt at the same time. If one goes down for a couple weeks, it happens. It's the NFL. But he wasn't expecting both of these dudes to go down for an extended period of time, which is what essentially is going to happen with Chase being done for the year and Montez Sweat being done for at least a month. Missed this game, just got put on IR, got to miss the next 3 games, or got to miss 3 games. So I guess this one counts since they put him on IR prior to this game. But either way, I don't expect him to be back for at least a month. These young boys got to step up, and we're going to see. That's all I can say is we're going to see. They're going to offset all of these young boys by playing. I think you're going to see, Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, and John Allen all on the field at the same time with one of these ends. It won't always just be, two defensive tackles and then two of these young boys out there on the ends. I think there'll be times where it'll be, Payne outside at defensive end or Allen outside at defensive end, two of the defensive tackles, and then like JSW. So we'll see. They'll find ways to offset it. Amar, 2 times official. Right. So Lou, I think Kansas City got here and ran away with their division. The other teams don't seem ready to win right now. I think that's a fact. I think that is, to me, a good observation, 1, by you. And 2, I think that's what the last 3 weeks has pretty much shown, that the Chiefs, you know what it felt like to me? I said this with my Braves, World Series champs right here. When I remember it was right around, I want to say it was either late August or early September. And my guy Juan Gotti, Talking Sports, had asked me on one of these live streams, hey, who's going to win the NL East? And at that time, the Braves were still, fumbling around 500. So it was probably in August at some point. And it was probably during the podcast. And the Mets had a chance to run away and hide. The Phillies did as well. The Nats were still hanging around. And I said, look, we gave everybody an opportunity. All right, we've been fumbling around 500, can't get right, had all these injuries. We didn't know if we were buyers or sellers, and our GM believed in this team enough to be buyers at the trade deadline and not sellers. And I said, we gave y'all a chance. We gave everybody a chance. Nobody wanted to seize control of the division. We know how to win. That's the thing. The Braves have won the division prior to this year 3 years in a row. So we know how to win the division. Okay, we know what it takes. We gave y'all a chance. Nobody wanted it. We're going to take over. Don't worry about it. And that's what I told Juan Gotti. It's our division now. We gave everybody a chance. They didn't want it. We're going to take over now. And we're going to run away and win this thing. And we did. I feel the same way about the Chiefs. They gave everybody a chance to run away, sort of like what Dallas has done in the NFC East, sort of like what the Titans have done in the AFC South. You get an opportunity to run away and hide. You got to take that opportunity. You can't squander it. You can't be losing to teams you got no business losing to. You can't be dropping games. You got to find a way to string together 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, and run away and hide. The Chiefs gave everybody in this division a chance. Nobody took the Broncos serious. But the Chargers had an opportunity, and they want to lose games like today to the Vikings. They want to lose games. They lost a game a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, what the hell are they doing? I can't remember who it was to. But it was another game where you're like, hey, you got to find a way to win that game. The Raiders are losing to the Giants. Yeah, you don't want this. You don't really want this. So the Chiefs said, I'll take it. Don't worry about it. None of y'all want it. I'm going to take it. So, yeah, they about to take this thing over. And I think the Raiders are about to fall the hell apart. I think the Chargers, they're going to be hit or miss. So they'll win a game or two, but then they're going to drop one because they're inconsistent, because they're still not ready yet. And the Chiefs, they're about to get on their horse. They've won 3 in a row. I wouldn't be shocked if this turns into 5 or 6 in a row, or 5 out of 6. And next thing you know, they're at 8-5, and everybody else is still mulling around 5-6 wins. They get to 9 wins. They look back, and the next closest team got 6 wins. That wouldn't shock me at all. Amar, 2 times official, says, Devin White is so annoying. I heard his name all game today. Like, bench him, laughing my ass off. He's a damn stud, man. Shaking my head. I told you guys that. I said when we played Tampa last year and he didn't play, you know how much of a difference he makes? You got to see it today. You know how much of a difference this dude makes? The fact that he didn't play and everybody, we took Tampa to the wire. Yeah, they didn't have their best defensive player. That helps, you know. You see what he is, man. Dude's a sideline menace. One of the best, if not the best, inside linebacker in all of football. He had 2 sacks today, probably 2 tackles for loss, and a bunch of other plays where he was just a nuisance. So that dude is different for sure. Derek B, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, a couple of weeks ago, I had the Chiefs losing 3 straight. Rodgers getting COVID and tragedy hitting the Raiders are just what the doctor ordered to save their season. As much as I would like to attribute their success to, all of the things that have happened, that's not in their control. And all you can do is play what, the schedule is in front of you. And it's not their fault that Rodgers decided, just like it wasn't the Lions' fault today that Ben Roethlisberger decided to mess around and have COVID and not be able to play. It's not the Chiefs' fault that Aaron Rodgers decided to lie to everybody and end up having COVID because he wasn't vaccinated and couldn't play. That's not their issue. And again, they didn't, the Chiefs didn't tell Henry Ruggs to go out and kill someone driving 156 miles an hour. That's not their issue. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think they beat Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers plays. But did you see Green Bay today? They're not setting the world on fire exactly. So who knows? I'd like to think they would have won that game with the Packers had Aaron Rodgers have played last week, But they're not exactly setting the world on fire with their offense either, which is why they were interested in Odell Beckham Jr., but they couldn't have been too interested because they tried to lowball him with the league minimum. So their offense, I keep telling Packers fans this, they keep trying to talk me to death about their defense. And I'm like, your defense isn't the problem. You're actually playing well on defense. We're going to get Zadarius Smith and Jair Alexander back. And so just give us a chance to get healthy. I'm like, listen to me. You're not listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Your defense isn't the problem right now. It's your offense. It's not great. And now with Aaron Jones going down, and it seemed like a significant injury, I don't think it's season ending, but I think it's something that could put him on the sideline for an extended period of time to the point where the Packers put him on IR. There were reports of, he came out of the blue tent. He was crying and he went and said something to his family members. So that never is good, right? Did not return to the game. So you could be losing one of the most integral parts of your offense. Now, in his absence, A.J. Dillon looked really good. But you know what's better than just having A.J. Dillon? Having Aaron Jones too. So, yeah, the Packers probably beat him last week. No guarantees is what I'm saying. Anyway, all of that doesn't matter. They have won 3 in a row. And whether the Seahawks or the Packers or the Raiders, all that stuff, weren't in their right headspace or whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. They've won 3 straight, and now they're scoring 41 points. They may be building that confidence back up to the point where they decide that, you know what, we're ready to take over not only this division, but get back on our horse and get back to where we're the feared team in the AFC once again. Not saying they're ready to do that yet, but this is a step in the right direction. Amar, 2 times official, says, Carr can come here to Washington. Leave them 20-yard Hail Marys in Vegas, though. LOL. He got hit when he was throwing that, but yeah, he's not coming to Washington. They're not trading him, and, we're not interested. I don't think they're interested in Derek Carr either. But, I mean, they would take him, trust me, but I don't think anything's going to happen. If you listen to people on the outside, Derek Carr was traded 30 times over the last 3 off seasons. The Raiders don't want him. He's still there. Now, it'll get interesting because Jon Gruden definitely loved Derek Carr. Their relationship had really grown and it had crystallized over the last 2 years. This next coach that comes in there may not love Derek Carr. Maybe looking to upgrade the quarterback position. Who knows? We'll see. Amar, 2 times official, says, watching this game tonight made me realize none of our tight ends have wiggle. I mean, LT has never broken a tackle, ever. I need it. I mean, it took you till tonight to figure that out. Where have you been watching? It took you tonight to realize Logan Thomas, Ricky Seals-Jones, nor John Bates or Sammy Reyes have wiggle. Like, what have you been watching this whole time? That's been the narrative with our tight ends, which is We haven't had a dude that could move. Even Vernon Davis didn't have any wiggle. He just had straight line speed. We haven't had a tight end that can make anybody miss since Jordan Reed. And those types of tight ends don't grow on trees, by the way. So Gregory Lightbody says, there's something in me that says if we can beat Brady, we should be able to beat Newton. Again, one doesn't mean the other. Because you beat the Buccaneers today doesn't mean you beat the Panthers next week. The Panthers defensively are way better than the Buccaneers. Okay? Let's just get that straight right now. And it's two different styles of football teams. Now, I think our defense can have success against the Panthers. Now, in the past and now with no Chase Young or any Montez Sweat, the running quarterback isn't a good look for this defense. So I am nervous. But Ron Rivera, I was listening to the Sunday night pregame, and Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk said he talked to Ron Rivera this evening, and he asked Ron Rivera, do you have a file of plays to stop Cam Newton, stored away for a time to pull it out? And he's like, actually, I do. We will see. We will see if that's true or not. Captain Spartan 04 writes, told you the Chiefs are the Braves. The AFC West let them hang around. Look at my man, Captain Spartan. See, us Braves fans, we know. We know. When you know, you know. And we can relate. And I just literally had this conversation. But I'm going to let Captain Spartan tell y'all again. He says, told you the Chiefs are the Braves. The AFC West let them hang around, and now they're back and ready to win it. Don't think they'll win it all because not enough moves, but still scary. And that's the part that should scare everybody else. That should scare the Titans, even though the Titans handled them. The Chiefs you saw aren't the Chiefs that they're evolving into, right? The Ravens, they should have beat the Ravens back in week 2 or 3 or whenever the hell they played them in Baltimore. They had the game won, and then Mahomes throws that stupid-ass interception. And even with that dumbass interception when they were up 10 that allowed the Ravens back in the game, they still would have won the game if there isn't the fumble by Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So, if I'm any team in the AFC, I'm not comfortable because if the Chiefs get it together, they're capable of beating anybody in the conference. Captain Spartan says, I seriously don't understand why Deshaun Jackson wanted out of LA. That was his best chance to win a ring. Now he's stuck on a bad team. He wants to play. That's the thing. He wants to play. He's not looking to be on the sidelines and be a decoy and just get in when they want to run a deep ball. He wants to play. And in Vegas, he'll get an opportunity to play. They don't have anybody that can stretch the field. He's the only guy that they kept talking about Zay Jones being a field stretcher. I'm like, no, he's not. Zay Jones isn't a speed demon. What the hell is Chris Collinsworth talking about anyway? But I'm like, he's the only guy with Henry Ruggs now gone. He's the only guy that can stretch the football field for them. So he's going to play a ton once he gets up to speed. They're going to play him a lot. In LA with the Rams, he wasn't playing. It was really simple. They had their two guys and you got to remember with the Rams, they don't run a ton of, 4 wide receiver sets. They generally keep a tight end on the field at all times. So, and a running back as well. So you get 3 wide receiver sets. Well, they had their 3 receivers. I mean, they could use him now, but, Odell Beckham Jr. Stepping in is going to help offset the injury, but they just lost Robert Woods for the year. But before that, they had Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Van Jefferson. So when they were going 3 wide receiver sets, those were the 3 they were comfortable with having on the football field. And Deshaun Jackson really didn't fit into that equation except for when they wanted to go deep. And he's like, look, I'm not just a deep ball guy. I can do a lot of other things. So, and you're not going to be just using me for a decoy to open up things underneath either. So he didn't like his role. He wanted out. He got out. And now we'll see what happens. But he definitely went to a worse situation. That's for sure. Amar 2 times official says Kansas City needs to pay Matthew and get themselves a solid wide receiver opposite of Hill. They're not going to spend to do that, and they shouldn't. They need to just draft someone to do that. And They thought that guy was going to be Mecole Hardman, and I think I still, in my heart of hearts, believe that the Mecole Hardman drafting was all about making sure they had a guy just in case Tyreek Hill sabotaged his NFL career. Because remember, before he got in the league, there were, allegations of him, being a woman beater. And then there was that situation with the phone call, recording where it sounded like he was talking reckless. And, that was being investigated by the league. And it was right around that time when they drafted Mecole Hardman. And I think they were just having an insurance policy just in case this brother tripped and they had to do what they did with Kareem Hunt. They had to cut him loose because he was into some bullshit. So I don't know if they ever really drafted Mecole Hardman to be, number 2, as much as they were like, look, you just a Tyreek Hill insurance policy. They never had to collect on that policy. And so right now, they don't really have that guy. And that's why they were hoping Josh Gordon could be that guy, but he is a non-factor week in, week out, and he still may be learning the offense. But I think this upcoming draft might be a year where they say, all right, let's spend the 2nd round pick. And I don't know what their draft situation looks like, because I know they traded away a ton of draft capital to get some of the players that they got on their team, most notably the left tackle, Orlando Brown. So I don't know if that bleeds into this next year's draft or not. But if they got a 2nd round pick, I would be, looking at some receivers and maybe thinking about doing that if you're the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens. Captain Spartan says, I also stand by Raiders are going to get Doug Peterson just because Rich Eisen is still saying it. Like I said, he's super close with Mayock. Does that mean anything? Sure. And again, this is the thing that I keep saying. Is Mayock going to be in charge, or are they going to clean house and start anew? If Mayock is in charge, then there's validity to that, potentially, because as you mentioned, that's his buddy. Now, how this usually works is if you have a buddy and he divulges information to you, you usually don't use that information. That's how that works. Because guess what? If Mike Mayock is going to be the GM moving forward in Vegas, and he really is interested in Doug Peterson, and other teams are going to need head coaches, and they may be interested in Doug Peterson, you don't want everybody to know that. So the one thing the Raiders do have the leg up on everybody is that they have an interim head coach already. So they're free to start to negotiate with, coaches as they see fit. So, just like Washington with Ron Rivera. Last year, Washington had the leg up on the competition 2 years ago on Ron Rivera because they had fired their coach in season. And they had an interim head coach, so you can start talking to coaches on the books. You can unofficially talk to guys and put innuendos out there that you're interested. But if you've still got a coach that you haven't fired yet, you're not supposed to be doing that. Why? The Raiders can do that. So there could be something to that, but again, I'm still fascinated by what the dynamic is in Vegas moving forward. Amar ×2 official writes, Lou, do you want to draft number 75's replacement? Replace him with Wes or sign another guy? I like Wes. He gets it done, to be honest. I think you draft another guy, another young guy. Remember, Wes is coming up on the last year of his deal. Not this year, but the next year. 2022 will be his last year in Washington, potentially. It depends. They could re-sign him. But, Wes is serviceable. But Wes, I think, is a backup. And a damn good one at that. But you want a guy like Brandon Sheriff in there. You want a starting caliber guard, someone that you feel like is a difference maker. I think you draft his replacement. I don't think you look to just give it to Wes and say, all right, Wes, is your job. I think you want Wes to continue to be a jack of all trades on that line, because Wes Schweitzer is capable of playing all 3 interior offensive line positions. So the versatility that he provides you with is invaluable. And so I think you would rather just have a young boy come in there. Remember, when Wes was first signed here, they went with Wes Martin instead of Wes Schweitzer. Why? Because you want the young boy in there to see what he can do. There's enough tape on Wes Schweitzer as a football player. So you want the young boy in there to see if there's a higher ceiling guy that you can stick in that position. We know what Wes Schweitzer is as a football player, and we're damn comfortable with what he provides. But that said, you can do better. So I think you draft somebody. You don't need to spend any money at guard, right? Draft somebody. And I think they will. My guy, rarely even. I'm just glad to hear from you. I told them on overtime, I said, I don't know if we're going to hear from Reed tonight. I really didn't think we would hear from you. So I'm just happy that you're here, man. He says, congrats on the win, Lou. My Bucs were completely dominated by a 2-6 team. This team is falling apart at the seams, collapsing before our very eyes. A lot of times when your team loses, you overreact. I don't know if this is an overreaction. I will tell you this. I don't believe the team is falling apart at the seams. But I do think the injuries are playing a part in some of your demise. Your defense is not good right now. And a lot of that stems from your secondary being so banged up. Now, what isn't showing up in that is that this D-line is not getting pressure, and that's been the hallmark of this Buccaneers defense. Is even when the secondary was young. Remember, we talked about that secondary, not because they were injured, but because they were young in the past. Like, oh, they're young. They're wet behind the ears. You can get it, on Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy Bunting. You can go after those guys. And the kid from Auburn, like, you can go after these dudes. And they just continue to mature and develop. And now what allowed you to get away with them even when they were young was that Shaq Barrett was getting 17.5 sacks. And JPP on the other side was applying pressure. Even if he didn't get the sack, he was being a nuisance. And Sue was getting home, and Vita Vea was collapsing the pocket. Well, now Vita Vea, I don't know the severity of the injury. The man had to be carted off. That's never a good look. And he's had injuries before. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but that can't be good. Shaq Barrett was non-existent in the game today. JPP, didn't hear a peep out of him either. Sue, he's getting up there in age. He's not as effective as he once was. Solid, but not a game changer. And so your best pass rusher is your linebacker, Devin White. And that's on blitzes. So that's a problem. But I think that you're going to be fine. You're going to be around when it's all said and done. And last year you had issues right around this time. And then you had the late bye. You don't have the liberty of a late bye this year. Last year that bye came at the perfect time, and then you kind of recalibrated and you came back and you didn't lose another game the rest of the season. You come off the bye this year, and that was a piss poor performance. But you flush that one, and you start anew next week, and you see, that division is there for you to win, but now Carolina seems rejuvenated. We'll see what happens with them. The Saints aren't going to just go away quietly into the night, but this is still your division to lose. And so we'll see what happens. I saw Bruce Arians' presser today, or just a snippet of it. And, they talked about the receiver. Somebody posed a question where they were like, so, it seemed like Brady was a little off and so were the receivers. He said, no. It wasn't anything to do with the receivers. It was all him. Now, the thing I love about BA is he isn't for the bullshit. If you effed up, no, you effed up. I'm going to tell you effed up. He did this to Brady before, and Brady responded. And Brady's not some 24-year-old, sensitive young player in the league. Brady's a hardened veteran who I think is able to take criticism. So we'll see if this sparks him moving forward. But I don't think you're falling apart at the seams. You're going to get some guys back. Antonio Brown's going to come back. Gronk's going to eventually come back. And, I think the offense is going to be just fine. And the defense is the real question, because they like Tony Dungy said, 2 weeks in a row, you've allowed two backup quarterbacks essentially, or 2 games in a row. You've allowed 2 backup quarterbacks to essentially shred you on defense. That can't happen. Amar, 2 times official, says Scott Turner deserves a lot of credit today. He does. But I told you, I'm a Scott Turner guy. I like Scott Turner. I don't love Scott Turner, but I like Scott Turner a lot. And I think he does a really good job. I think he gets a bad rap. When you're losing, it's easy to point the blame at people. You know, I told you I don't love his situational awareness. I thought his situational awareness was outstanding today. And that's, to me, the biggest thing that he lacks. It isn't that he's not a good play caller or he can't set things up. I just don't think when the moment calls for a specific play or there's a rhythm and a flow to a game, I don't think he does a good enough job of reading it in the moment. He did today, though. I thought he did a tremendous job today. Reese says, I hope the Bucs feel ashamed. Let a bad team pick us apart. We deserve to lose because we played like losers. One team was out there to win, and it wasn't us. Free fall incoming. They should be ashamed. I agree with that. It kind of felt like how it felt like with Dallas last week against the Broncos. Like they showed up and just expected to win. Okay. Washington's 2-6. They stink. Long as we get to FedEx Field safely, no catastrophes. We all get to the stadium on time and we're ready to go for that 105 kickoff. We should win the game. That's how it felt. And one team played like their season was on the line because it was. And the other played like, oh, we're good. We're in first place. Even if we lose this game, we're still good. And one team was desperate. The other wasn't. That's what it felt like. And it's true. You guys are still good. You're still in first place. We're still tied for third in our division, right? Like we're scratching and clawing just to be in the hunt category. So it's drastically different between where your team is and where my team is. I don't see a free fall incoming. I think you're being extra. You know, I think you're over exaggerating and you're just upset. You're frustrated. Reese says, my team is so scared shitless of the Saints that they had us paralyzed with fear through our bye week and all the way to the following game. I don't believe that for 1 second. I know you feel like you guys can't beat the Saints, but he says, did you see Devin White out there, Lou? The great White, the White Knight. The dude is a beast. Man, is he ever. He almost single-handedly destroyed our offensive game plan today. I mean, the dude was everywhere. It started on the very first snap of the game offensively for us. We run a pitch to the left, and this shit is blocked up beautifully. And the only guy that doesn't get blocked makes the tackle, and it's Devin White. And he comes flying out of nowhere and tackles Antonio Gibson for like a 1-yard loss. And I'm like, gotta be shitting me. I mean, this thing is set up beautifully. And here comes Devin White screaming. That's what we want Jamin Davis to get to, where that speed is, you see it. That's the thing I said. Like when I watched the tape of Jamin Davis in college at Kentucky, I didn't see that all the time. With Devin White, it pops every single game. He's just flying around. You can't miss him. He's a blur. Reese says, I am totally embarrassed. I am happy for you, though, Lou. Thanks for letting me vent. I'm just so pissed. I know you are. And you should be. Because your team is better than what you showed and displayed today. I mean, that's not who you guys are. That's not the team that won the Super Bowl last year. But again, injuries will do that to your football team. Injuries will do that to your football team. And your team is banged up. I mean, the fact that you have D. Delaney at cornerback, and you're relying on this guy, like that's how you get beaten this league. It's not that you have injuries. Everybody's got injuries. Is that you have injuries to 1 or 2 positions in particular. If you keep getting ravaged at one position, it's going to catch up to you. And that's the problem in Tampa Bay right now, is not that you have injuries. Everybody's got injuries. You have 8 injuries to your cornerback position. That's the problem. And and then you've got some skill position injuries. You know, Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski. These guys are difference makers. They're not just some Joe Schmo. These are difference makers. I knew he was going to play because Godwin is tough as nails, but he was a game time decision. You're banged up. No excuses, though. You got enough skill guys to get it done. Between Evans and Godwin and Cameron Brate, you got enough stuff to get it done. Red Wings 01 says, so what do we expect from the Raiders when we face them? It's a long time before we play the Raiders. You know, we still got 3 weeks before we see those boys. 3 weeks ago, we were talking about the Chiefs' demise, right? 3 weeks later, we're talking about the Chiefs running away with the AFC West. Like, who knows what the Raiders are going to be in 3 weeks? If they are what I think they are, in 3 weeks, they will be a shell of themselves, and we will have the shovel ready to put the rest of the dirt on their season. But again, 3 weeks from now, they could be playing better football. They could go on Thanksgiving, upset Dallas, and all of a sudden their season's back on track. And here we come next week going to Vegas, and they're like, all right, we got a whole 10 days off, ready to smoke these boys. It could go one of two ways. So we'll see what the Raiders do. Don't know what we'll get in 3 weeks. I got a super chat. I need to get to that one first. R. Smith. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. R. Smith writes, do you think LV is going to miss Gruden's play calling? I do. Because here's why. That team was made in Jon Gruden's image, meaning he constructed that roster to fit the things that he wanted to do. They lost their fullback, Alec Ingold. He was specifically there because Jon Gruden runs an offense that would make the 1990s smile. And because he runs an offense that featured a fullback and, you know, has certain parts that fit what his play calls do, now you bring in another guy who may not have the same philosophical beliefs, and these pieces may not necessarily fit what they want to do. So obviously the coaching staff was under Gruden and they knew what Gruden was doing. And so they're going to continue that, you'd like to think. But Gruden was calling the plays. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew how he wanted to set things up. And now it's totally different. So I can just tell you this. When Gruden was there, there weren't many games Darren Waller had, 3 catches for 30 yards. There weren't many games like that. Period. Gruden was going to force feed Darren Waller the football. He was a non-factor tonight. And so it was good to see Bryan Edwards get off, but it can't come at the expense of Darren Waller. Like, he's the guy that stirs the drink, that makes this thing go on offense for the Raiders. And whatever happened to Josh Jacobs? I know he's been injured the last couple of years, but I remember that rookie season, he was tearing shit up. He's just a guy now for the Raiders. He's just a guy. So there's a lot of problems going on with the Raiders right now. Anyway, Reed says, I don't know how Devin White makes some of the plays he makes, Lou. Dude is just freakish. I don't know if I've ever seen a linebacker outside of Ryan Shazier. I don't know if I've ever seen a linebacker play with that much speed on the field. You don't see a guy running that fast. Like, he is when I say a blur, like, I know I've already said it, but I'm trying to hammer home the point that this dude is moving at a different rate of speed than everybody else on the field. He just is. It's ridiculous. I Have a Life says, I want Dallas in the P word this year. Well, we got to get there first. And only way we're going to get there is if we beat Dallas at least once in the regular season. So got to take care of regular season business first before we can start using the P word. Red Wing 01 writes, Carter is what Steven Sims was supposed to be for us. I was much more bullish on him than others when we signed him, but he has exceeded even my expectations. We got to re-sign him. I don't see him going anywhere else. And, with certain players, there is this, look, you got to get your bread first and foremost. So, if Washington's not looking to pay, then you got to move on and go somewhere where they are looking to pay you. But I think he's going to get what he deserves in Washington. And, some guys, they understand, sort of like Taylor Heineke. Not to say that he had offers after the Tampa Bay game elsewhere. And not to say that he didn't. But he realized, look, Scott Turner knows me. I know him. I know his offense. I flourish in his offense because I know it so well. I'm not looking to go anywhere else and maybe be exposed and exploited. I'm going to stay here where I'm comfortable, where they know me, where I know them, and I know what I'm capable of, and they know what I'm capable of. I think, and he also said there's a bit of loyalty there because nobody else came to his pro day but Scott Turner. The only reason he's in the league is because of Scott Turner. So he's like, I'm not going anywhere else. Staying in Washington. I think Deandre Carter is going to have a little bit of that going where he's like, look, nobody else really gave me a chance to be more than just a returns guy. He's been different places, Houston, San Francisco. He's been in multiple spots, but nobody's really given him a true opportunity to be a receiver, except us. That's why he's been in the league since 2015, and these last two games are his first and second career receiving touchdowns. And the touchdown on the kickoff return versus Atlanta in week 4 was his first career NFL touchdown. So there's a little bit of gratitude and him feeling like, man, I'm in total debt to you guys. So if they come with an offer to keep him here for the next 2 years or 3 years, I think he's going to come back. And I know they want him back because, again, what he's effectively done is he's solidified 3 things for them. Kickoff returns, punt returns, and more depth at receiver when necessary. And again, he can play that Curtis Samuel role. He's not Curtis Samuel, but he's Curtis Samuel-like. He's great value Curtis Samuel. And in a season where we haven't really seen him, he gives us a little bit of that vibe that we are missing with Samuel not in the lineup. So I think he'll be back. Red Wing 01 writes, I love that he plays with a chip on his shoulder and a confidence that Sims never quite had. He plays hard and with attitude. There's, we know the story about his brother, but there's a different level of attitude when you're fighting for your NFL career, right? Like you've been on 5 or 6 teams in 5, 6 years. And, at some point the calls are going to stop coming after a while because there are younger versions of you coming into the league every year. So eventually, if you don't pop, if you don't find somewhere and stick, eventually your agent isn't getting a call for a workout on Tuesday. And then it turns into one Tuesday, which turns into 2 Tuesdays. And the next thing you know, you're out of football for a year. And then you're Taylor Heineke and you're saying, look, if I don't get a call this year, I'm going to hang it up. Because I'm 28 now and I gotta start focusing on the next part of my life. If football isn't it. So there's a different level of desperation for a dude like Deandre Carter. Like, look, I got to make it. Whereas with Sims, he's undrafted and he makes the team. And that rookie season, he was outstanding. And I think he thought he made it. I didn't see the desperation or that same hungry Steven Sims that was undrafted out of Kansas that felt like I got to prove everything to everybody. I think, and I'm guilty because I was one of those people that felt like Steven Sims could be our number 2 wide receiver. And I wasn't saying we needed him to be our number 2 moving forward. I said we need number 2 type production from him because we don't have a true number 2 wide receiver. And he was terrible last year. Injuries were a big part of that. But I thought he lost his edge. Because I think he felt like he made it. Oh, they ain't cutting me. I'm Steven Sims. Oh, okay. Reese says, Rich Bisaccia looks like a retired police officer who went crazy and now spends his days uncomfortably watching people from his house. Where do you come up with these, man? Where do you come up with these? Oh, man. Charles Hardy. Oh, man. Last week it was, I don't remember who it was, but you said he looked like a producer of, or watches poorly produced late night movies. So I forgot who you were talking about. Where do you come up with these, man? Anyway, I digress. Charles Hardy says, Scary Terry is one tough dude. That hit he took for the first down was bone jarring. Definitely a dog. He is, man. And I'm still waiting on the flag. I'm still like looking at my watch. Y'all ain't throw the flag yet? What's good with that? Terry's that guy, though, for sure. And again, you know, I just harken back to plays like that. When anybody questions his ability to be a number one, I just look at plays like that and I say, I dare you, I double dog dare you to question this dude as a number one in this league. Vincent Coe, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Vincent Coe, writes, I think Steve Waldron is a bad hire for the Hawks. He's terrible, man. It was funny. I watched that Seahawks Green Bay Packers game simultaneously with Sunday night. So I had, the Sunday night game on the big screen, and on my smaller TV, I had the rerun of the Green Bay game playing as I had it recorded. And so I'm watching the game, and this is like the third or fourth week in a row that I just find myself watching the game, and I keep saying, how is it that you have this 6'3", 6'4", 230, 35-pound freak of nature in DK Metcalf, and every week we're talking about this guy not having any more than 4 targets in a game? Like, how is this possible? And then you want to know why he's getting ejected at the end of the game. You want to talk about a team falling apart at the seams. The Seahawks are falling the hell apart at the seams. Their offensive coordinator is horrible. He's terrible. Tyler Lockett barely touched it today. DK Metcalf was a non-factor, and he had a drop. But still, it's hard when you haven't gotten targeted until the third quarter. You're damn right. You finally throw it to me in the third quarter. I'm not shocked that he dropped the damn ball. It's a joke. Steve Waldron is a joke. And you got rid of your last coordinator for this? Really? Huh. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to take a couple more. We almost at that hour and 15-minute mark. Let's see. HHC Lunar writes, people forgot about Mahomes. Wide open AFC too. I don't think people forgot about Mahomes. They just said, oh, they figured it. The league has figured him out. That was the narrative. Oh, just play 2 deep safeties and you got him. He can't be patient. I'm not saying that he's going to be patient moving forward, but what I'm telling you is he's learning. Tonight was a masterful display of how you handle a team playing soft, allowing the underneath check down over and over and over again. They're going to keep giving you the flare out of the backfield. They're going to keep giving you the swing route. They're going to keep giving you the check down to the back. Take it. It's a free 5 yards. A wise man once told me you can't go broke making a profit. Unless you overspend and your profit isn't that great. But generally speaking, you can't go broke making a profit. They're giving you 5 on first down, take it. Because guess what? You get 5 on second or third down, you got first down and you're doing it all over again. They give you 3 on first down. They give you 4 on second down. They give you another 3 on third down. Guess what? You just got a first down and you're doing it all over again. Keep taking what they give you. He did that beautifully tonight. And then eventually they're going to get sick and tired of giving up 5 and 7 and 11 and 6. And they're going to come up, and that's when you hit Tyreek Hill, and he did that tonight. Or that's when you're going to find Travis Kelce wide open over the middle of the football field. How many times did we see a tight end delay tonight? Kelce's blocking, releases, catch the football. They're going to keep playing deep and off and soft. Guess what? As soon as he releases, there's no linebackers. They've all vacated. Dump it off. Let Kelce do the rest. That's a free 8. That's a free 10. Take it. HHC Lunar says, Raiders have just been destroyed by the scandals this year. I don't think I've seen anything. He says something like this since the 18 Steelers. It's only been one scandal. And that was Jon Gruden. It's more of they've been destroyed by controversy. You know, the Henry Ruggs situation is unfortunate. And then the Jon Gruden thing is unfortunate. And it's really put them in a bind. You know, generally in an NFL season, you don't see those types of things happen. I mean, I can't think of the last time I've seen a coach have to retire because of something off the field transpiring. You know, that's normally reserved for players. You know, a dude does something stupid off the field and it comes back to bite him in the ass. But I mean, we're talking about stuff from, you know, 2008 and, you know, shit that was, you know, over a decade ago, but it came back to bite him in his ass. And then, you know, Henry Ruggs, just unfortunate. That whole situation all the way around for all parties involved, shit was just unfortunate. Sindeko writes, huge shout out to the Washington football team for the win. I knew you would win. Rivera has only lost against Brady, one loss against Brady, I believe. Boy, next week's game is going to be super lit. Storylines everywhere. Good luck. Hell yeah, it's going to be crazy. I mean, you just start with the whole Rivera going back to Carolina. That's the first thing. I mean, for us, from our standpoint, that's the first thing. But from your standpoint, it's Cam getting his first start, you know, because he's going to start next week. It's Cam against Rivera, you know, so that's going to be a thing. It's that Rivera didn't sign Cam. That's another thing. You know, it's Rivera wanting revenge against, you know, David Tepper because he felt like he was wronged when he was fired, and Rivera has made no bones about it. He felt like he got canned and he didn't get a chance to right a wrong in that situation. And so there's a million storylines. There's so many people from Carolina in our organization because everybody that got fired, essentially when Ron got fired, he brought with him. And so it's going to be one hell of a week. The whole week is going to be spent talking about everything but football. The beauty of it is a lot of times in these situations, when a coach is going back to a place where he was shunned and fired from, the team rallies around that coach. Like, hey, we got to win this one for coach this week. This is going to be a big deal. Rivera's going to try to downplay it. It's just another game, yada, yada. It's not. And the players in the locker room are going to know it. Did you see the Cowboys celebrating Dan Quinn and giving him the game ball? Like, that shit matters to coaches. I don't give a shit. Anybody that's anybody. If you're a human being and you get fired, you know, I still carry a chip on my shoulder. This shit is stupid as hell. You know, it's dumb. But when you're a competitor, you don't need much. But you take the smallest little slight, just like Jordan. You take the smallest slight and you turn it into something that it's not, right? And when I first started my channel, I had applied for it MCN, a multi-channel network. You know, and that's when they back you and they give you little certain perks and stuff, and they try to help your channel along on YouTube. And they told me my shit wasn't good enough. I use that shit as motivation every day. I should be sleeping. I'm up. I'm doing videos. I'm planning for the future because I'm like, F that MCN. I'm going to stick it to their ass. And then when I get big, I'm going to go back and tell them, F you. You had a chance and you F'd up. They don't give a shit about me. I'm some small little fish in a massive YouTube pond. They could give two shits about me. They didn't even remember that they rejected me. But I remember, and I'll never forget. And look, at the end of the day, my channel wasn't big enough. I didn't qualify. That's pretty much what it was. I don't give a shit. I don't view it as such. And Ron is like, yeah, maybe I was struggling when I got fired. But I don't give a shit. I don't think I was justly fired. I had injuries. That's why my seasons bottomed out the way that they did. Give me a healthy Cam Newton. We're not having these discussions. You didn't give me a chance to right the wrong. Dan Quinn's like, yeah, I blew the lead in the Super Bowl. Yeah, our teams weren't winning, but I felt like I could have turned it around with more time. That's how every coach feels. They always want to win when they go back. And the players know it, and they want to win for coach. So I feel like we'll have that on our side. Y'all don't have that. You know, you don't have that. We got that extra little added incentive to go there and try to get one for Ron. And you beat us last year. So I know Ron's like, they got us last year. That was at FedEx, though. He's going back to the scene of the crime. They're going to want it bad for Ron next week. It's going to be fun. I know that much. Reese says, no disrespect to Taylor Heineke, but our last two games, we've made the likes of him and Trevor Siemian look like Hall of Famers. And I mentioned that earlier in the show. Like, and no, it's no disrespect to Taylor Heineke. He's a backup in this league. And yeah, he plays his best football against the Buccaneers for whatever reason. I can't explain it. But he plays his best football against the Buccaneers. That's 2 games. He hasn't won both of them, but they've been some of his best work in this league. So, alerting _ writes, do you think something is wrong with Leatherwood? What are your opinions about him? Well, first of all, I didn't think he was a first-round pick tackle. That's the first issue I have with him being on that team is too many failed first-round picks for the Raiders, and that's all on Mike Mayock. And I love Mike Mayock to death, but you can't do the things that they've done with first-round picks and get away with it. Your team is going to suffer when first-round picks are squandered, especially when you're trading away Khalil Mack and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're acquiring all of these first-round picks. You have to hit on these. You can't draft Cleveland Farrell with a top 5 pick. That's not okay. That was never okay when you made the pick, which is why Mike Mayock said, we're going to surprise some people. You're damn right you're going to surprise some people because he's not a top 5 player in the draft. Why are you taking him? Damon Arnett, a former first-round pick, gone. And, that's another scandal, if you want to call it. That's more of another controversy that they got wrapped up in, had to cut ties with him. That's a former first-round pick, gone. Alex Leatherwood, like I said it when the draft pick was made. He wasn't a first-round tackle. But teams reach for tackles. So it's not the first time, and it won't be the last the team reaches for a tackle. But it was too early for him. You can't waste picks on Tanner Muse in the 3rd round. Like, too many misses. But you asked me specifically about Alex Leatherwood. I always felt like Alex Leatherwood is, first of all, he's a guard, if you ask me. Second of all, I always thought that his feet were heavy. So when you have heavy feet, the impetus is to get out. And he's playing guard right now for the Raiders anyway, which I think is his natural position, which is another reason. I don't want to go back to this and keep harping on it. This is why you don't spend the first-round pick on him, because he's not really a tackle. But anyway, when you got slow feet, you tend to want to move quick because you got to get a jump. Like tonight, he had the false start penalty that cost you on 4th and 1 that forced you to have to punt. Why? Because he's trying to get a head start. He's out ahead of the play because he knows I'm not the most, slew of foot. I'm not the most athletically gifted offensive lineman, so I got to take every advantage that I can. If I get just a fraction of a second start, I'm going to take that. I think he's serviceable in the run game. But again, he doesn't have the quickest of feet. So if you get somebody with quickness in front of him, they can beat him at the point of attack. I was not a massive fan of Alex Leatherwood coming out of Alabama. I thought he was solid. But again, you overdrafted him. And when you draft, this is the thing. This is why guys need to be drafted in their proper spots. Because when you overdraft a guy, you put expectations on that player that they probably aren't going to be able to meet or exceed. That's the problem. If you're struggling as a 4th or a 5th round pick, you were a 4th or a 5th round pick. You were a day 3 pick. It is what it is. Like, we have patience with you. The fan base isn't tripping. You were a 3rd day pick. Stick his ass on the practice squad and keep working with him. But when you're a 1st day pick, when you're a day 2 pick in the 2nd round, I need you to come out and I need you to help now. And I need you to be good now. Is it always fair for the player? No. But when you draft a guy in that spot, those expectations are immediately dumped right on their shoulders. Immediately. And if you don't live up to that, it's going to be tough. There's going to be criticism. It's not fair to the player, but that's the way it is. And Alex Leatherwood was overdrafted, so now the spotlight's on him, and I just don't think he's a first-round talent. And he's struggling. But I've always felt that way about the Raiders. I've always felt like they've overdrafted linemen, you know, even with Brandon Parker. Even though I think he was a 3rd-round pick, I think, out of NC State. He's been solid. But I was like, might be a little bit early for him. Or was it 2nd round with him? Either way. Alex Leatherwood, to me, was a reach. And I think the Raiders, much like a lot of their picks in the 1st round, they're paying for it. So, we are definitely past our time slot. That's going to do it for me, your man Louis T, here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. Chiefs, wow. 41, Raiders 14. This one got ugly in the second half, and the Chiefs made a statement tonight. In case you were trying to throw a little dirt on us, in case you were trying to bury us, we're alive and we're well. And if Mahomes continues to do what he did tonight, eventually he's going to get back to being Patrick Mahomes. And this Chiefs defense, I've been talking about it for the last 3 weeks. I said, I don't know if it's because of the level of competition, being the Giants are an offensive juggernaut, the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, really the Packers with or without Aaron Rodgers aren't an offensive juggernaut, but specifically without him, they're really not an offensive juggernaut. I don't know if that's a byproduct of why the Chiefs are playing better defensively or not. I just know they've been playing better defensively, period. Washington, I said the last 3 out of 4 games, their defenses looked really sharp. Tonight, this was a much better offense that they faced in Vegas, and they put the screws to them, especially in the second half. After that touchdown to start the second half for Vegas, and the Deshaun Jackson, I really felt like the Deshaun Jackson fumble was the turning point in this game. It's almost as if Vegas waved the white flag after that fumble. Okay, you got us. That was our last, gasp right there. That was our last ditch effort to stay in the game. And D-Jax just fumbled it away. We're done. You got us. Hands up. You got us. Chiefs make a statement, take sole possession of first place with the 41-14 win. The Raiders seem like they're going in reverse. That's 2 ugly losses in a row. And just like last year, it just seems like the Raiders are going in the wrong direction at the wrong time of the season. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louis T. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louis T. Until next time, I thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you for the Louis T Network podcast, whether that's tomorrow or today. We'll see. But in any event, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you next time. God bless, and good night.
Louis